Hi, everyone. Uh, Jennifer Duran here from E2B Healthy. I'm so glad to have you guys on the call today. Um, we are so excited to have this special guest, Laura Lee from Blooming Life Wellness. She's going to talk to us about young women, and she is simply fabulous. I met her at a recent coaching event, and oh gosh, when I met her, I was just like, oh, we definitely have to partner up. So I'm so happy to have her on the call today. She works with mothers and young girls, and she's going to give us some tips on how to, as she says, nourish, grow, and bloom the young ladies, because I think she's going to give you a little bit of stats of some scary things that are happening out there with young girls. And so we just think it's so important for everybody to be aware of what's going on with young girls and see what we can do to help them. I think we're going to wait a minute or so just to let a couple people jump on and just make sure technically we're all squared away. And so we'll wait a few minutes and then we'll get started. So. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I think people can see us because I think we're good to go. So, like I said, this is Laura Lee. She is from Blooming Life Wellness, and she works with young women and mothers to help them develop their potential as beautiful, strong, confident, thoughtful individuals. And we're really excited about the program that she has coming up, and we wanted to have her give us some tips on how to help young girls. So I'm going to let Laura Lee introduce herself and tell us who she is and how she got started, and then teach us. So take it away, Laura.
Hi, thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk about what I'm so passionate about, which is the health and wellness of women and girls. And I am here in Culver City, California, so not too far from you. And like you mentioned before, we did meet in San Diego at an HMBA Live conference. And I connected with you. I remember we were talking about the work you had done in schools. And that just, I knew that we were kind of on the same page. So I'm really excited to be here with you. Thank you for having me. I am a mom of 3 and a wife and a holistic health coach. So I focus on the health and wellness, like I said, really specifically of women and young girls. My passion is to have a practice that incorporates health for young girls, because my personal experience and the experience of pretty much all the women in my family has led me to this place. And I want to prevent so many of the issues that women face around food as they become adults by starting early. I feel that if we start, if we were planting those seeds, and it's just like if you're in the garden and you plant a seed, you water it right away, right? So you start to water it, you make sure it gets enough sun, you make sure it gets enough good soil. And I feel like that's just like us as people. I mean, once we plant that seed, we want to start that nourishment right away. And so many times I feel like as mothers, we haven't been taught, or we don't know how to do that. And so I really just am here to guide and teach and support mothers in their journey of educating themselves about how to help their daughters grow into strong young women. I'm also here to support mothers in their journey, because we don't all have it figured out either. And as moms, we have a lot of things maybe we haven't been able to get through, and with our food issues or whatever it may be. So I feel like it's important to, just like we put the mask on our face on the airplane first, it's important to make sure that we are all good, so that can then spill into our daughters' lives. And I feel like we need to teach girls to nourish themselves, so hopefully those seeds will grow and flourish in them and allow them to bloom into who they were meant to be. And that's kind of why I call my business Blooming Life Wellness. So today I'm going to focus specifically on the health and wellness of young girls, and I will go ahead and get these slides going up here. There's 3 points today I want to focus on specifically. The first one is the importance of building a strong foundation of health for girls at an early age. The second one is how we as women and mothers can help our girls love their bodies when it's really hard to love our own sometimes. The importance of teaching girls to nurture and not deprive themselves inside and out to become their best selves. So, starting with that first one, building a strong foundation at an early age, the first thing that comes to my mind is prevention. I just want to prevent the things that I'm about to discuss. So, why is it important? Well, in my recent blog, I wrote about this, and you can check that out on the website. But 81% of 10-year-olds are afraid of being fat. So that means our 81% of our 10-year-olds are in fear that they're going to get fat. In a survey of girls 9 to 10 years old, 40% have already tried to lose weight at such a young age. 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies and resort to deprivation diets, and only 5% of women naturally possess the body type often portrayed in the media. So I don't know about you, but these statistics kind of really get me fired up and really fuels my desire to get out this message to young girls and moms and kind of break the cycle. I mean, that really is my goal, is to, if these things are being passed down from generation to generation, we can educate ourselves and support each other in breaking the cycle. So what happens when these things, what happens because of these statistics are our girls, it can lead them to years of struggle with low self-esteem, eating disorders, and then a preoccupation with food and weight that keeps girls from becoming who they are. You know, there could be a young girl who's so great at soccer or so great at dance or whatever it is she loves, but yet in the back of her mind she might have this record playing of, oh, I'm just not good enough, or I'm not thin enough, or I don't look like so-and-so. Therefore, it's preventing her from truly living full out, and that's what we want to prevent. So this quote at the top by Dara Chadwick, she's an author, and she says, body image matters, not because we all need to look like gorgeous supermodels to be happy. It matters because if we don't feel good about what we look like and the body we live in, we're less inclined to show the world who we are, and that's not okay. We want our girls to show the world who they are. We want to show the world who we are. So what can we do? Well, the first thing we can do is educate. So talk about the differences in our body shapes and how we're all created to be different. Wouldn't it be boring if we all look the same? I mean, if you look around in nature and animals and different things, no two creatures look exactly the same. So why should we? And I love this image on the right of, contrary to what you see in the media, we're not all supposed to look the same. Some of us are short and muscular. Some of us are small-boned and petite. Some of us are tall and thin. I mean, there's an array of different body shapes, and so many times girls are only shown one or maybe two. And so it's a confusing message for them. So it's important for us to educate them on all the different body shapes and how we're all unique and different. Help her define words such as beauty with her own definition. I like to break things down into small chunks. So I'm really into defining things and redefining things, because I think you know, the world's going to try and define beauty for her soon enough. So we want her to know early on, and I'm talking about specifically as early as possible, that beauty comes in all forms, you know, not just thin thighs. There's beauty in a work of art. There's beauty in qualities about us, about our grace, our charm, or a vivid blue color, different things. There's so much beauty. Find out from her what she finds beautiful, and then really try to support her in keeping that definition of beauty in her mind and heart. So the next thing we can do is invite her in the kitchen and cook together. I know sometimes we get busy and we don't have time maybe, or we're just trying to get dinner on the table, but it doesn't have to be anything big. You can give her one small job. Maybe she chops some veggies for the salad, but get in there, get her hands in the kitchen. My sister has a 3-year-old, and she has this thing called a learning tower, and she can stand there next to her mother, and she's always, even at 3 years old, letting her have her hands in there with the food and kind of testing and tasting. And I just think that's beautiful because I didn't do that so much with my kids. And it really, you can see it. She'll just eat and try anything. And it's really beautiful to see. Um, while you're in the kitchen together, talk about what's in the food and what does it do for your body. Like, what is a nutrient? Again, break it down into small chunks. What is a nutrient? What makes our food different colors? Like, what is that? Like, why are some peppers yellow and some are red? I mean, these are things that seem maybe so obvious, but maybe they're not. How do these things affect our bodies? So the more she learns and sees food as nourishment, the greater chance her relationship with food will remain that way as she grows. Discuss the history and culture of a food. So this gives food a history and a story and helps her see the connection between where the food comes from and what she's eating. So just like when you meet someone and they share their story with you, or they share a part of who they are, their story, where they came from, don't you feel like you know them a little better? You feel more connected. So it's kind of the same thing with food. Once we know where it comes from and maybe its origin, we feel more of a connection to what it's actually, where it came from and what it's doing for our bodies. So you can try planting something together. Even if it's just a tomato plant in a pot on the back porch, the process of growing your own food is another way of fostering that connection in her that food is for nourishment. Plus, it can be so thrilling to see that first sprout, especially when she had something to do with planting it. For the past 4 years, I've been doing a lot of volunteer work through an organization called Growing Great. So we go into schools, and what I do is I teach nutrition, but then I also teach kids in the garden. And the first crop that I plant with them each year is a salad garden. And it's so fun to see them 3 months later actually get to harvest it and then taste their salad, because they're so excited that they've actually planted these seeds and now they get to eat it. And oftentimes, I mean, as long as you have a yummy dressing that you've made to go with it, they'll ask for seconds and thirds. So it's really neat. And when I first started teaching the garden, I didn't have what they call a green thumb. People always say, oh, I can't grow anything, I don't have a green thumb. You don't need to. All you have to do is try. Like I said, it could be in a pot. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And as long as you're giving it the proper nourishment, chances are it's going to grow. So the second thing we can do, besides educate, is communicate. So girls' bodies are starting to change as they approach puberty. And it's always normal to gain a little weight at this time. And how we respond to this change can be crucial to how she feels about her body. So this can be kind of a touchy subject, and I've had friends who share with me, actually a friend of mine shared with me the other day that her daughter's in 4th grade, and she's always been a really thin child, but lately she's been filling out a little bit more, and initially that can cause in mothers kind of this ooh feeling like, oh my gosh, first of all, my baby's becoming a young woman, and that's kind of hard to accept. And second of all, this thing of, maybe it brings up some feelings for the mother about when she was that age. Maybe there's some memories she has that, maybe she was teased, or maybe she didn't feel good in her body at that time. So it kind of brings that up for the mother. And then, of course, the mother wants to try to control or protect her daughter. And that all of those feelings are totally normal. But I would just ask that if you do feel yourself feeling these things, just be aware and acknowledge that you're feeling that way, and then just tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to control this. I'm just going to support my daughter, keep eating healthy, keep mirroring the things, teaching her the things that we're going to talk about today, but really just be aware of how you're feeling it during this time. And talk to her about when you were her age, and share stories about how you felt at that time. It can help her open up about how she's feeling. So a lot of times maybe we think they don't want to know what we went through at their age, but they do. I remember as a kid, my mom did not often share with me about her childhood, but when she did, I was really interested to hear how she felt. And I always wanted to know, well, what did you do at that time? And I didn't always ask, but when she did share with me, it does kind of prompt you to for the child to share. Help her express her feelings by being active together. Nothing gets a person talking more than going on a walk together. So how many times have you been on a walk with a friend and you just walked in silence? I mean, it's kind of impossible. Walking, just this rhythmic motion, just kind of promotes communication. And you could be on a walk, and all of a sudden it's been an hour and it seems like it's been 5 minutes, right? So whenever you feel like you need to connect, go for a walk. Say, let's go for a walk together and see what comes from that. Um, Compliment her and friends on things not relating to appearance. This can be kind of a hard one because we don't often, you think about it. We just come up to someone, and if they look attractive to us, we say, "You look so cute today," or "I love your shoes," or "I love your hair." And there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's the only thing we're ever complimenting them on, they might start to think, "Oh, maybe this is all my mom thinks about is what I look like." So we don't want to send that message. If she's already comparing her body to bodies she sees in the media, which she probably is, every young girl usually has someone they look up to in a magazine or on a favorite TV show, explain what Photoshop is and the process of hair and makeup. So oftentimes we would assume they would know these things, but they don't. And you can probably relate. I remember as a young child, I would tear out magazine pages out of 17 magazine and tape them up on the mirror on my door. And I think it was Cindy Crawford that I would tear out and, say, "Oh, her eyebrows look like this, and this is what she's wearing, and this is what her hair looks like." And, you try to emulate that. Well, if she is looking at magazines and worrying, "Oh, why doesn't my hair look like that?" or "Why can't I do this and that?" Just explain the technicalities of what go behind the 2 hours of hair and makeup and what Photoshop does, how they can go in and smooth out the skin and take off a little here and there. And just explain, like, this is what the process is, so she's not, basing her desire to look like someone else in a totally unrealistic way. Modeling behavior. So mothers, whether they like it or not, have the most influence on shaping their daughter's self-image. So what you say and do will have a huge impact on how she feels about herself. And that's not to scare you, but that's just to make you aware that she is listening and watching, and we don't often think about it. So talk about your body in a positive way in front of your daughter. She's picking up on every word. I know we can all relate to maybe hearing our mom make a comment, and we can probably even remember what we were wearing that day. So just be aware. Limit your comments on other people's appearances. If, like I said, we don't want to send the message that the outward appearance is the only thing or the most important thing that we think about. Treat your body well and don't diet. So what I mean by that is, let your daughter see that you're eating good foods, that you're treating your body well, you're getting physical exercise, you're not going to dinner and eating nothing when everyone else is eating something else. Just show her that you're treating your body well. Stock the kitchen with healthy choices for the whole family to choose from. We have to do this as a family. It can be detrimental if it's only one person doing one thing and another person doing another, and we really want to do this as a family, and I'll talk about that a little more. Stay in the picture. This we can all relate to, I'm sure, but we all have bad hair days. We all have days where we don't want to get in the picture. But show your daughter that you're engaging in life and not avoiding it because of your appearance. So she wants to take a picture with you and you don't feel like your hair looks good or you just woke up. It's not a big deal. Just go for it. It'll show her that you're just engaging with her, and that's the most important thing. Learn to take a compliment instead of brushing it off. It will teach your daughter that it's okay to see the good in herself. That one's a hard one, I think. So many times we get a compliment and we say, "Oh, it's no big deal. Oh, I didn't do that much. Oh, I'm not that great." And it's not that you want to brag, but if someone says to you, "You did such a good job on that," practice saying, "Thank you, I really appreciate it." And that can be hard. It's just inherent in us that we don't want to sometimes look like we think we're this or that. But show her that it's okay to see the good in herself. And then get in the pool, even if you feel uncomfortable in a swimsuit. I'm so guilty of this one. Your behavior will again show her what's most important is enjoying your time together. So you might have a day where you just don't feel good and you just, ugh, maybe you had a big breakfast and you're like, I don't want to get in my swimsuit and walk on the beach. Chances are your daughter has no clue and she just wants to know that you want to be with her and play with her. So sure, there's days when maybe you don't get in the pool, but if you're always wrapped up in a towel on the sidelines and you never want to get in, it's going to show her like, it's going to send her that message maybe that, what you look like is more important that day. So just be aware. So the second point we're going to talk about today is how we as women and mothers can help girls love their bodies when it's hard to love our own. So again, don't make negative comments about your own body in front of anyone. The more you point out what you think are your flaws, the more your daughter will search for her own flaws or even think you think the same of her. And we do this without even realizing it, I'm sure. I remember as a child my mom saying to me, oh my gosh, my bum is so big. And she said to me, whatever you do, don't get a big bum. And of course, I just thought, oh my gosh, what is this big bum? And I didn't know my mom had a big bum. I never would have thought that until she said that to me. And then, of course, in my little mind, I'm thinking, oh gosh, I better not get a big bum. And that was like stuck in my head. So just really watch what you say about your body. Do point out what you like about yourself or when you feel good. Speak positively about yourself in front of your daughter. It'll teach them to think outside the language of self-criticism that is all too common in women and girls. So if you feel good, if you feel like you did a good job on something or you just feel good, you just went for a walk and you're like, oh, just say it. Say, I feel great. I feel very accomplished. I just did this thing. I feel good about myself. Learn to do that if you're not used to it. Do send girls a message that just because maybe one day you don't feel so great, that will change. Sometimes don't you ever get in that headspace where you're like, oh, I just feel so bloated and gross and I'm always going to feel this way and it's the end of the world. Well, let her know that, you're going to have some bad days but that maybe the next day you're going to be better, and let her know that how we feel about our bodies is always changing and it's not going to always be the same. It's not the end of the world. I like this one a lot. Fat is not a true emotion. How many times have we said, I just feel so fat. I'm just so fat. So in the book Picture Perfect, it reminds us that fat is not a true emotion. So if your young girl or daughter comes to you with this comment, try and find out what she's feeling. So remind her that fat's not a true emotion and help her dig deeper in these moments. Is she angry? Is she scared? Is she sad? So maybe she does feel fat, but what's underneath that? Is she feeling I'm not enough? I don't fit in. I'm scared. I'm angry at so-and-so, and I just feel fat. But the emotion underneath is something much deeper and something that maybe you can help her with, whereas I just feel fat is not really something that we can work with. And that's a good one for us as moms to remind ourselves of too, when we have those days where we just want to say, I feel fat. Don't diet. Yes, eat well and exercise and model healthy behavior, but please don't teach your daughter that deprivation is the key to being healthy. The effects of this lesson could last a lifetime. We talked a little bit about that already, modeling healthy behavior, and I just really want to stress it. Just to really focus on what you can add into your plate, not what you're leaving off the plate, and just the language you use around that and just the behavior you show will just reinforce for her that food is for nourishment. Do buy healthy foods, healthful foods, and give her the choices. So are you buying sugar cereals, donuts, chips, and candy and then asking her to eat healthier? We have to enable and empower girls to make healthy choices and to provide the options. This one is something I really want to talk about because I see this a lot. We have all our cabinets stocked with maybe snack foods, and then we ask our daughter, well, don't eat that, or maybe you can only have one, when we all know that foods like donuts that are so full of sugar and refined carbs that once you have a bite, whoosh, that sugar rushes into your body, and what do you want? You want another one. So we want to provide her with healthy options that she's going to be able to say yes to. So we want to provide that and not just make it harder on her. So talk about also the difference between being thin and being healthy and being true to your shape and size. Again, break it down into small chunks. I say even go to the dictionary and say, well, what is the definition of healthy? What is the definition of thin? Really explore these things with her, and teach her that our main goal is to be healthy and what you can do to be healthy. Um, Let her know she is absolutely loved unconditionally, and her appearance is not the most important thing about her. So really, I think all the points I'm making today all boil down to this one, is when she comes home at the end of the day, really what she wants the most is to know that she's loved no matter what she looks like, and her appearance is not the most important thing. And I think that if we're being aware and we're kind of doing these things, then that's really the message we're going to be sending her. The importance of teaching girls, this is our last point, the importance of teaching girls to nurture, not deprive themselves, um, to be their best inside and out, to become their best selves. So as an integrative nutrition coach, we talk a lot about primary food and secondary food. So you want to focus on her health as a whole, well-rounded person. So much about being healthy starts with what we are feeding our bodies, but also what we do to feed our souls. So in integrative health, primary food we define as all the most important things in our lives that aren't what have to do with food, but have to do with our relationships, maybe what's going on at school, our spiritual life, our sports, whatever it is, that all the things that make us who we are primary food. Now, if those are in balance and we're expressing ourselves and those things are good, then secondary food is what we eat. So what we're feeding ourselves. So really, if everything's out of balance in your primary food and you're eating all these healthy foods, it's not really going to help you, because you need to have both. So we can't really have one without the other. So we want to focus on her health as a whole person and help her with that. Talk with your girls about expressing how they're feeling and give them the outlets to express themselves. That could be through art, movement, creative journaling. I spoke at a breakfast last year, and there was another man there speaking about his work with children in his music program. And this story touched me so much. He goes into schools and he works with, I think, maybe K through third in a music program, but he also teaches them songwriting and writing lyrics and how to put their feelings into writing these lyrics. So he had a mom of one of his students come to him at the end of the year and just say, thank you so much for everything you've done. And he was just like, what did I do? She said, well, my husband and I went through a divorce this year, and my daughter was just so far away. I couldn't get her to communicate how she was feeling, and I knew she was hurting. And then she comes to school, and you teach her how to write these song lyrics, and then all of a sudden something clicked in her, and she was able to express how she was feeling in these song lyrics and then put it to music. And she came to me and shared it with me, and we both cried, and it was such a breakthrough. And so I get the chills every time I think about that story, because it is so important. If this young girl wouldn't have had that outlet, excuse me, to express how she was feeling, she might have kept those feelings bottled up and shoved down inside of her for many years. So just whatever it is, you don't have to be an amazing painter, just something creative. You know, as humans, we all have that innate desire to create. So really help her foster that. And use language that suggests ways to treat ourselves with care, kind words, ways. Just language is such a big thing when we think about the words we use when we're referring to our bodies, ourselves. It's so important to treat ourselves with care, and so she will learn to treat herself with care. So this is a one, too, that I think we often don't mean to do, but we do. We don't create lists of good or bad foods, but do talk about what we need to add in to be the best and feel the best that we can. So if there's room for a few treats after that, fine, but this is not about control, but about nourishment. So chances are, if you're labeling foods in front of your daughter, these are good foods, these are bad foods. Well, if she's having one of the foods you consider a bad food, innately she's going to maybe connect that to you think she's bad. So we don't want to make her feel that she's bad for eating that bad food. So we just want to watch again our language, um, try to keep it on the positive side, and talk about maybe foods that we should eat more of and that we keep treats for every once in a while. Also, if you want to make a sweet treat, get creative and look up something that maybe you have a favorite dessert and find ways to make it a little bit healthier. Like maybe substitute some ingredients. You guys can kind of explore that together, and make still have a sweet treat, but make it maybe made with whole foods or different sweeteners. So it's a lot of things you can do with that. Teach your girls how to eat. This is a good one. Be mindful during a meal and don't rush through it. Try making it a habit to have a meal together without distractions from media or homework so you can focus on the meal itself and the company you're with. So this can be hard, especially during the school week, and it doesn't have to be every night. But if you can block out 1 or 2 nights a week where, let's say, you all have a nice dinner together, I always light a candle because something about lighting a candle makes the meal seem even more special. Have one of your children set the table, maybe use different dishes that night, make it fun. Maybe they get to help with the menu, and then try to make it like a contest to see who can finish last. So my kids are always, of course, going, oh, I'm going to finish first. I finish first. I get dessert. And my husband and I say, nope, tonight we're doing whoever finishes last gets dessert first. And then also what you can do is have chewing contests. So you can practice or just have fun with it, but just count the amount of chews, maybe for one bite at the table, and see how many chews you can make for that bite. And it just kind of sets the tone to actually slow down your eating. And when you slow down your eating, you really start to taste the food, you digest it better, your body gets that feeling of being satisfied, so you don't feel like, if you're eating and rushing through and you're not paying attention, you often feel like you need something else to eat, right? Like your dinner's over and you're like, I'm still hungry, I need something else. But really, it's just that your body didn't get that signal that it was satisfied because you ate so fast it didn't notice that feeling. So practice that early with your kids. And then I saved this one for last. Never put one child on a diet while the other child eats, quote, freely. This can cause hurt feelings and resentment in both children for years. So instead, eat healthfully as a family. This one I can personally attest to. In my own life and childhood, my sister and I, growing up, I was just an average-sized child, and so my parents didn't really pay attention to what I was eating. I kind of just ate food. I didn't really think about it. And my sister was, she developed early, and she also was larger than most, I'd say most girls her age. And I think, my parents, of course, were reacting to their circumstances and how they had grown up. And so they immediately became alarmed at this and put her on diets at a very young age. I can tell you from what my sister shared with me that this caused many, many, many years of painful feelings, disordered eating, and basically, it wasn't the only thing, but it really kind of drove a wedge between the two of us as siblings. Because, one child's eating freely and the other child's being constantly scrutinized, and it can make the one child feeling scrutinized. It can just seem really unfair. So if you really are concerned about one sibling, one of your children, maybe there is a real concern with their weight, talk to your doctor or talk to a health coach, talk to somebody that you feel like maybe you can work on something together, but then incorporate it into your whole family. And what it did for me as the child who wasn't put on the diet, I can say, we don't often hear from that side. I kind of, even though I didn't have issues as a child with dieting or food, I didn't have that until college, and that's a whole nother story. But as a child, even though I wasn't the one being put on diets, I was still witnessing all of this, and I was still kind of filing away that information and forming beliefs in my own mind about what was okay, what was acceptable. I started to believe I needed to look a certain way to be loved. I started to be afraid, like the statistics in the beginning, I started to be afraid to be fat. So it had a lot of negative effects on me as well. And again, I don't want to say this to blame our parents. I'm totally aware that they were working from what they had to work with. And that's another reason why I think I just want to educate and support parents in their goal, because we all love our children, and we all want to help our children grow into the healthiest, most vibrant people that they were created to be. And we don't always know how to do that. And sometimes we're just not well equipped. So that's my job. And that's what I most want to help you all with. This quote is actually from my sister, who is a writer, and I thought I would put this up here. I thought it was very funny, but very good. Where would we be if every Amelia Earhart was depressed about not being Heidi Klum? If every Mother Teresa threw away a dedication to mankind in pursuit of the perfect, idealized body type portrayed in the media? So I hope that you were able to get some things you could really take home with you today and practice. Just be aware. I do have programs for mothers. I do feel like it's so important that, like I said, we don't always have it together, and sometimes we feel like we need to spend some time on our own process with food and our own relationship to food and body, and get healthy in our own way. So I do have a 90-day transformational program for moms, a 28-day jumpstart to kind of get you on track. But today specifically, I want to invite you, I think you'll get a link from Jennifer, but I have some groups for girls that I'm running in Culver City, and they're at a children's yoga studio called Zuga Yoga. They're once a month, and they're 2-hour workshops, so we'll give you the flyer for that. But the workshops for girls are really for ages 8 to 11, and each workshop in this series will incorporate some kind of an art project, and we're going to talk about body image, we're going to talk about self-confidence, we're going to talk about who we are on the inside and the outside. So we're going to build those things with art, kind of, explore who we are. And then we're going to move into a really fun workout called Willpower for Girl Power. So it's really a positive workout with positive reinforcement. There's usually a word of the week to go with it. And you can, again, go to the website, check out what Rebecca is the instructor, and check out what she has to say about that workout method. And then I will end with some kind of fun interactive nutrition lesson. The girls will always go home with some materials, maybe a few action steps, and just learning about nutrition and how to nurture themselves in a really fun, supportive way. And in an environment with other girls, which I feel really kind of also promotes supporting each other. So many times girls can try to compete, and at an early age, whereas this environment, there's really no room for that. We're all there to support each other, and I think that's another lesson they'll take from learning this in a group environment. So check that out. I also will have a link for you to take home, a PDF for you to take home of some bonding tips you can do with your daughter. And you'll also get a PDF of this presentation today if you would like one of those. So Jennifer, should we do questions, or what's next on the agenda?
I think that they should be able to. Thank you. I think they should be able to see that now. If they don't, they can always send a message. But we also will email everybody that's on the call. We'll send an email to them with all the link information for anyone that wants to sign up. So that's there. And let me just do a quick look and see if anyone else has any kind of questions somewhere on the Twitter feed, because sometimes they're sending me messages on the Twitter thing.
Okay, sure.
I will just do a quickie check. Oh. No, just I got some feedback, just someone saying that they really appreciate the work that you do, and you being able to come on and give these great tips. So, and the download that you'll get, everybody will also get that in the email as well. So.
Yes, that would be wonderful. I'm so glad I was able to share today. It was, thank you for having me.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.